So guys, we're going to have a lot of interaction. So for now, I want you to quickly go over to the chat box and just type in there, how are you feeling during lockdown, which is your option, A, B, or C. A, are you feeling excited, lazy, or angry? Get me out of here.
I trust you're all okay with the chat box, yes?
So a lot of C's, a lot of angries, very few excited, but quite a few. Brilliant. I'm just moving things around quickly so that I can see a bit better. Hi, everyone. So thank you so much for the introduction, Hawa. I wanted to just give you a bit of an overview of my journey of actually going online because as Hawa was introducing me, I'm a very well-known in the speaking space. So specifically, I'm used to speaking on large stages, doing one-on-one coaching or training teams, and that is mostly been face-to-face. So it would either be in a training room and I would be working with the people, so I'd actually be able to see their body language, I would be able to chat to them, all of that. And then where I found something quite interesting is the moment I started actually doing radio interviews, I started noticing a lot of different things because I would nod my head and realize that the audience has no idea that I'm nodding my head when the presenter is asking a question. So I had to realize that if people are only relying to your voice, they can't actually see your body language. So when I actually had to go online specifically, I also went through a lot of anxieties, and I just wanted to share with you my specific journey. So I have been working with MBA graduates at, for instance, Northwest University. I've also done work on leadership and emotional intelligence in Pakistan, in Karachi, 2 years ago, and specifically developing a lot of people on their presentation skills in sales and leadership. And for today, I'm actually going to be combining quite a few of those because I think for you right now during lockdown, you can actually tap into a few of those skills to help you progress so much better. So what was my journey and what happened with me when I had to go online the very first time? So I'm part of the Professional Speakers Association of South Africa, and what I found is we were having these webinars, and the first place that I joined was the virtual chapter. And I found it to be quite strange because there were all of these big shot people in the room. I was very overwhelmed and I was almost too scared to unmute myself. And you might have been finding that yourself. You would be actually sitting in a webinar like today, and if we ask, are there any questions, maybe you were too overwhelmed or scared to actually ask the question. I was too shy to unmute, but then eventually I started realizing the more I engage, these people are actually open to engage with me and to learn with me, and that's what I want to encourage you today. Be part of this environment. I know we're not sitting in the same room, but what is very exciting is we actually people all across the world, and you have the opportunity to engage not only with me, but also with other people. And specifically, what I also found is in a face-to-face environment, you're able to raise your hands, but today in the virtual environment, you can also raise your hands. So if you're finding that you're actually struggling with some of the content that I'm offering, please just toggle onto that place. What I also found is it's really nice to engage in the chat rooms, and in the virtual space, you actually also have opportunities like Slack to engage. So what are some of the things that you need to be aware of if you're working from home and actually running meetings from home? It's really important to be aware that people are noticing still visually what you're looking like. So rather dress up. Wear the same kind of clothing that you would have worn to a business meeting. So know who your target audience is and dress accordingly. If you have little kids like this little one, they could run into your room while you're busy with a meeting. So rather either put a sign on the outside of the door or lock that door so that your kids can't come in while you're doing a really important meeting. Share what you're going through with your partner so they also know that you are doing training or you're having meetings to give you that space to engage with. So I want you to have a little bit more engagement. Quickly go over to the chat box and say Say yes or no. Are you feeling guilty right now to sell during COVID? And have you ever heard this statement or thought it? This is not the time to be selling. So can you just type yes or no for me in the chat box? I'm not seeing anything happening in the chat box, so just type for me yes or no. Are you feeling
No,
guilty right now, or
quite
is this not the time?
people saying no.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly people are
Most
saying
people
no.
saying they're not
Yeah.
feeling guilty. Okay, thank you so much. And can you type for me yes or no? I can only sell face to face, and online is just not the same thing. Do you have the belief that you can only sell face to face and online's not the same thing? Yes or no? Brilliant.
Mostly no.
Mostly no. Thank you so much.
Yes, mostly no.
Next question. Are you shy to unmute yourself at an online meeting? Yes or no?
Yoke, while they're doing that, can you see the chat box at the bottom?
I can't. I'm really struggling to see it. It's just flickering. It's not really showing. Yeah.
No, it's going really fast. People are writing mostly no.
Okay,
And few
Armel, I'll appreciate that if you just give me the feedback. Thank you. So people are actually quite confident. So let me just go back so I can rephrase it. This one they had mostly no. So people are open to selling online. And yeah, what was the answer mostly, Armel? Yes or no? The first one. Can you remember? If people are feeling guilty to sell online.
mostly no.
Not really. No. Okay, fantastic. So what we are going to be focusing on today is how to sell during challenging times, even during COVID-19 lockdown, how to successfully run an online meeting, and confidence hacks in online meetings. So let's get into the first section. I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite stories, which is called Who Moved My Cheese? So what happened in Who Moved My Cheese is there were these two little characters, Sniff and Scurry. And what I want to encourage you is to be like Sniff and Scurry. So in Who Moved My Cheese, what happened is there's this maze. And the little mice every day are running throughout the maze trying to find cheese. And eventually, through trial and error, they found Cheese Station C. And at Cheese Station C, there was copious amounts of cheese. So if you had to think about it in terms of your sales space, that would be your ideal target audience. The same way as you've been selling all of the time, face to face, and there was copious amounts of business. Business was just coming in. But what Sniff and Scurry did every day is they kept on wearing their little tackies, and they kept on being fit. So what they noticed after a while is that the cheese was becoming less and less day by day, and they anticipated, oh my goodness, soon enough we are going to run out of cheese, so we better find some other cheese. So what I want to ask you in terms of the entire COVID-19 situation is,
what might have changed during the lockdown?
Hello?
In terms of operations, impacts
Hello?
of other
Did you miss out on me?
We can still hear you, Yoke. I think somebody has just joined and
Actually anticipate that lockdown was going to come, and have you every day put on your tackies, still scavenging out for new business? Or did you actually stop looking for new business? And that's my encouragement for you today, to be more like Sniff and Scurry. So perhaps The past times allowed you to tap into that same target audience as you'd always done. But what Sniff and Scurry did really well is they noticed the cheese was becoming less, and we need to keep on staying fit. We need to keep on prospecting, advertising, going out there, building relationships with people, and even if COVID-19 hits, as it did, even start finding new ways of doing business, even if it's in the online sense. But what they also didn't do is they didn't overanalyze. They weren't these academics that said, oh my goodness, I need to get a professional to first teach me how to do an online meeting. I need to get a professional to make a video of me before I post something online. What Sniff and Scurry did is they would run into different directions. If they hit a wall in the maze, they would turn around and go in a different direction. So I want to encourage you to test different things out, to be agile, to be open and have a growth mindset. And then there were these little people, but their mindset were completely different. So after a few days of putting on their tackies and going into the maze towards Cheese Station C, they started becoming a little bit lazier and entitled. So they left later and later every day because the cheese was always going to be there, right? And then one day, COVID-19 hit. And they said, who moved our cheese? This isn't fair. We meant to have this business. They went into denial and they kept on thinking that once lockdown lifted, everything would get back to normal. They got angry. They were super negative. They were posting a lot of negative things on social media. They were watching the news every day, getting overwhelmed. And what you will find, and this was for me as well, is even if I train people on change, I also went through all of these emotions. I also went through a bit of the laziness, a bit of denial, a bit of anger and negativity. We go through all of that. But it seems that you guys, and some of you might still be in these emotions, but it's important for you to actually move through it. So what those two little people found is that they had actually been eating old cheese. So while they were being lazy and just assuming the business was always going to be there, their relationships were going stale and they were not actually going to get repeat business from those clients anymore. So my question to you is, have you been eating old cheese? Have you been doing business in such a way that is not necessarily yielding the results that you want? So what is my encouragement for you? As we go through all of those emotions, this is an example of the change curve. And everyone goes through this: denial, anger, pessimism, eventually getting through to acceptance and informed optimism. And that's why I was asking you those questions at the beginning, to find out, where are you at? So even as you are going through this, your client is going through this as well. So if you are a business owner or if you are a salesperson, I want to encourage you to be the guide and to help your clients through this dip, because the quicker they can go through this dip towards acceptance and optimism, and the quicker they can get to realize that they need to still work on their business, they still need to invest in their properties or whatever it is, because in 12 months time, if they have stopped doing any business or stopped using any of your products and services, what would have happened to them? So what you're probably finding is a lot of your clients are still in fight and flight mode. They're really struggling through that dip. And I want to encourage you, be their guide. Help yourself to deal with the emotions so you can notice you're not going to stay in denial. You're going to move through the anger into that place of acceptance that it's a new business of unusual. And how can you actually help clients to reach that point of optimism? Caroline Drake came up with the growth mindset model, and I want to just quickly talk you through this. And she said there are two different mindsets. The one is a fixed mindset, while the other is a growth mindset. And a fixed mindset refers to a person, and they would typically be saying these things: ooh, I can never do sales. Oh, you want me to go online? Are you crazy? It's just not in my genes to do videos. I was just not designed in that way. I don't have the talent to convince people. I've always been a relationship builder. I couldn't possibly find new business. That's very much a fixed mindset, saying it's all about the talent. While a growth mindset is slightly different. They'll say things like, I can learn anything. I'm in control of my own destiny. I can learn and get better. Fixed mindset don't like to do any amount of effort. They'll say things like, this is way too hard. I couldn't possibly put in this amount of effort. Are you crazy? Do you want me to learn how to do online meetings, to actually post videos, to go live on Facebook, to have webinars with clients online? That's just way too much effort. I couldn't possibly do that. While a growth mindset believes, like Malcolm Gladwell, I don't know if any of you read Outliers of Malcolm Gladwell, where he speaks about the 10,000 hours, says it takes roughly 10,000 hours to become an expert in anything. And that is through being determined, putting in the time, but also getting coaching and being open to feedback and growth. So my encouragement to you today is to have a growth mindset, to really be open to challenges, to learn from your mistakes, and to be open to feedback. So in the chat box, Armel, please help me with this again. If you can just say to me what is the most outcome from everyone. Are some of your clients still in denial regarding change? Yes or no? Are they faced with anger? And then how can you be their guide through the change? What could you specifically do to help them and assist them to get out of those negative states that they are going through? Would you mind just popping that into the chat box for us?
Mostly yes. You can say quite average yes or no. Yeah, 50-50%.
Okay. And would you mind just reading out two answers for me? If you guys can type in, how can you be their guide? What can you do as a sales or as a business owner to actually assist your clients through that change? What could you do?
Offer
solutions.
Offer solutions from Johan.
Offer solutions. Yes.
Here, I would need some advice from. Oh, it's going to chat. And then encourage, assist, and guide from Henda. Jenny, let them know we are here to meet their needs and assist them and solve their problem. From Annalise.
All right, Armel, we're losing you for a moment. Armel?
Right now? Hello?
Armel, your sound, we're losing you for a moment. If I can just help you with that, Yoke.
Brilliant.
So we've got reassure them of quality work, show positive attitudes, ask them to stay positive. Valerie says I can offer training, and Marie not to encourage the negative talk regarding circumstances. I don't know how many you need me to go through, a few more. Dean Iker says ensure you have the correct advice and product offering. Lynette says positive attitude, and Valerie says can coach them and assist.
Thank you so much. So there's a lot of coaching, training, actually offering your products and services and giving them guidance, how it could potentially help them will all be things that will really be hugely beneficial. And I'm going to give you ideas now. Jane Holmes wrote the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine, and he came up with his research through massive webinars that he used to have, where he would ask people in the audience. So I'm just going to give you an example right now out of my own worldview. For instance, if I had to ask you right now, and you don't have to respond to this, but just to give you an idea in your own mind, who here right now would be ready to buy a sales course? Only 3% of you would be ready. 7% would have maybe thought about it, 30% wouldn't have thought about it, another 30% wouldn't think they're interested. And the last 30 know that if I, for instance, phone you and say to you, can I offer your sales team a sales course? You will throw the phone down in my ear and say, I really know that I'm not interested in sales training right now. So if you're looking at your marketplace, most people tend to think they can convince up to this point, up to 70% of the market. But shared homes show that it's possible to even speak to that last 30%, the 30% that throws the phone down in your ear. So do you want to know how he did it? What they did is him and Tony Robbins went in the real estate market, and they did a bit of research, and they found that if a large family was living in a very small home, that there was a 95% chance of teenage pregnancy and a 90% chance of infancy death. So can you imagine if you're living with your big family with teenagers and a little toddler, and someone comes to you with research and they say, are you aware that if you continue staying in this small home, that probably your teenager is going to fall pregnant and your little child is going to die? Do you know that most of those people were immediately ready to start looking for bigger properties because they were shown something that they weren't aware of? So my encouragement to you is, can you think of something? Is there research that you could do, fires in your client's life, which can convince that last 30%, that can show them that if they don't invest in your products and services, if they stop within the next 6 months to invest, for instance, in their people or whatever it is that you do, that they will lose out on greater money, or it will be greater complications for their business. So I want you to think about that, because if you start actually selling in a way where you're educating your clients and you go like Chad Holmes and Tony Robbins and share that research and share those core insights, you could actually share that through coaching, training, webinars, videos, and that is actually what I'm encouraging people that are on my presentation bootcamp at the moment. They're actually putting core messages together to speak about the fire in their client's life, because they know that if the clients don't resolve those issues, what's going to happen? So that is one of the areas that I want you specifically to think about. The next one is all about supply and demand, and I wanted to share a little story with you. You might have heard of the story of the black pills. When a gentleman many years ago from certain islands actually uncovered the black pills, and it was only sold at a very low cost. And he said, why can't we actually sell black pills at the same level as you would sell diamonds or any other proper jewelry? So he made a beautiful necklace, got a broker friend of his to speak to a gentleman at 5th Avenue, New York, who was willing to sell that necklace at a premium price. So he took the black pearl necklace, put it in a beautiful display room in 5th Avenue jewelry store, New York, and then he took out advertising in high gloss magazines, and he put a really high price ticket next to it. And what do you think happened? What happened was these black pearls were suddenly sought after by some of the biggest celebrities. Everyone wanted it because it was seen on the same premium level as diamonds, because it was priced on a very high level, displayed on a very high level, and they actually had the advertising to back it as well. What they also did is they also didn't put so many of the black pearls out in the market. It was a scarce commodity. So what I want you to think about is, was there a perceived demand for black pearls? How did they create the market, and why were people willing to pay a good price for it? So I want you to think about it, and please would you mind raising your hand if you wouldn't mind actually just having a quick discussion with me, and we'll give 2 people the option. So Armel and Hawa, would you mind just having a look at who's raising their hands so that we can allow them the option to just answer this?
There's one hand from Ruben.
Would you mind unmuting him?
Sure.
What is his name?
Ruben. Ruben, you are unmuted. Please unmute yourself if you want to speak.
Hi, Ruben. Hello.
So yeah, Ruben is unmuted. He is currently self-muted. So Ruben, I have sent you an unmute request. If you can please unmute yourself as well.
If there's anyone else that wants to just have a quick discussion with this, please raise your hand as well to be the second person.
All right, ladies and gents, anyone else would like to interact? If you can't raise your hand, please put it into the chat. So let us know in the chat that you would like to be able to respond.
Otherwise,
So
would you mind just answering this?
Unmute Ruwaida. So here we go. We have Ruwaida. Ruwaida, I've unmuted you. Would you like to chat?
Yes, okay. With regards to the specific black pearls demand, I think because it was something so rare, it was uncommon, and it was something that especially the elite among society prefer things that are uncommon and have a value attached to it. So I think because it was something that wasn't on the market before and something viewed as unusual and uncommon, that would actually be attractive to mainly the elite in society, because they want things that basically others don't have or others can't afford. So, and it's rare, especially because
the high ticket price, you think, also had an impact on perceived value?
Yes, the perceived value and status is more of a status thing with a lot of people. So if it's something that's rare and uncommon and something that's hard to acquire by the general public at large, then it's viewed as something more valuable, or something that you need to get your hands on, especially if you're in that particular class.
It's not a commodity. It's not a commodity. It's a special thing, right?
Yes.
And how do they create that market? And what can we learn from this?
I think
we also have Bali who's raised a hand.
Okay, just very quickly, I think you said the delivery channels are very important. So if this was placed in something like a common magazine that everybody has access to, that doesn't have that elite sort of perception as with a prime magazine, then I don't think it would have sparked that interest so much. But because it appeared in an elite sort of magazine or media format, it actually had that desired effect.
Thanks so much, Ruwaida. I really appreciate your feedback. Let's just quickly go to the other person.
So Bali, I have unmuted you. Bali? Bali, I see that you've unmuted yourself as well. We just can't hear you. All right, anyone else while Bali is starting to join? Anyone else would like to raise their hand?
Well, I think I'm going to go to the next question.
There we go. All right, so just one last thing is Shakira is actually saying, Angelina Jolie, so I think a market is created by the way of influence. She says Angelina Jolie is pictured here with the black pearls. And then lastly, she says a trend that would catch on quickly given her fans and following.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So I want you to quickly think about this, and I'm just going to ask you to type into the chat box, which would you pay more for, A or B? Gourmet food Which would have a higher ticket offering, or a burger and chips? Which is coming out higher, Hawa?
Mostly A.
You have the majority is A.
Okay, brilliant. And I want to just quickly show you how it looks. So A is looking like this and B is looking like this. Which would you pay more for?
A, mostly.
Okay, brilliant. So this is actual footage from one of my favorite gourmet restaurants that has incredible atmosphere, vibe. But what I want you to think about is, in this regard, if we're thinking about food, a product, a service, an offering, in this regard, what actually makes you want to pay more for A is not just the fact that the food is necessarily better, but it's also the entire experience. There's an ambiance. It actually overlooks a lake. When you get there, there's a fire. There's beautiful lighting. The way the waiters treat you. If it's your birthday, they actually write happy birthday with chocolate on your dinner plate. They come with a specific wine list and they actually pair your food according to what you've ordered. While if you're going to an establishment like in South Africa, like a Wimpy, you sometimes get a waiter. Some places you actually just have to order and pay at the counter. It's pretty much a same commodity menu, but you cannot actually compare the two. If you're thinking of your own products and services, do you want people to see you as something that they would see as an experience, as something elite that they actually want to pay more money for, or do you want to fight the battle on price and get in on a price war where it's about the cheapest burger and chips that you could possibly get? So I want you to think about what are the areas that you need to look at if you want to package yourself in a better way online right now during COVID. Some of the ways that people are going to be judging you is your social media presence. They're going to be looking at your videos, the kind of webinars you offer. How does your presentations look? So you need to look at what does your packaging look like? What is the kind of experience you can still give to people in online environments? So you might not be able to pass them a cup of coffee as you did, or play a game of golf as you did in the past. But is there a different way in which you could still give an amazing experience with them? So I want you to quickly give you some confidence hacks for when you're doing some of these video presentations or online meetings, because a lot of you guys said you're not finding it easy to sell online. So I want you to quickly think, if you could think of any person, it could be someone on the screen or another role model, if you could have their confidence the next time you presented or the next time you had an online sales meeting, who would that be? And just type that into the chat box for us as well. And it might be any of these, or it could be someone completely different. But whose confidence would you want to tap into in that environment? And then what I want you to do is I want you to make a movie, and you don't have to do it right now, but I want you to do that before you actually do that next presentation. So what my guidance to you is you imagine that role model of yours. So whether it was Ellen, Oprah, Obama, whether it was Mr. Bean, Robin Williams, whoever it was, and make a movie of you if it was that person doing that webinar. Their confidence, their smile, their body language, how are they actually interacting with the audience? And then imagine that it's you that's actually getting into their body and that you have that same confidence as if you are doing Ellen, Obama, or whoever it is. So what they found with swimmers in the Olympics is they asked them to make a movie of the way that they would be swimming the race. So in their mind, they would go and they would imagine, I'm swimming. So they're swimming the race, they're going through all of the laps until finally they reach the side and actually tap the side. And do you know that 95% of the time that the swimmers would swim the race in the Olympics in the same time as they swim it in their mind? So can you make a movie in your mind of your ideal way that you want to be when you're doing that webinar, that meeting, or that sales engagement with a client on the other side of a screen? and tell me how it goes. I want to quickly just give you a last few tips on running a successful online meeting. So some of the advantages of doing online meetings is you would have much less traffic. There's much more time to schedule meetings, and you also need to be aware of this, which means that you will actually have to schedule breaks in for yourself because you still need time to eat. You still need time to go to the bathroom. So make sure that you don't have meetings on the hour where you don't actually have time to actually get up and stretch. You also have the opportunity through online meetings like we're doing right now. We actually have international people from all over the world, from Dubai, Pakistan, South Africa, and who knows elsewhere. So when you're doing these, make sure about the time zones. When you're scheduling it, could you potentially put a calendar clock which actually shows international time zones so that people can potentially see what is the time zone going to be in their city, not just in yours. That's something that I would highly advise you to do. When we run face-to-face presentations, these are some of the ways that you judge a person if he's confident. You'll check, is he confident? And does this person know what they're actually talking about? You know, do they captivate you? Can they tell a story? Do they actually draw you in? Do you actually want to listen to them, or don't you? But in the online sense, in the face-to-face sense, people see your confidence, they look at your body language, they hear your tone of voice, and you can actually, while you're having a face-to-face client meeting, you can actually adapt your energy to the energy of the audience or the person sitting across from you. You can make really nice eye contact, and you can really feel that you are building a relationship with them, right? But now in the online world, it's very different. Like right now, I can't see any of you. I need to keep your attention because what you could also be doing is you could actually still be doing emails and things in the background. So if it's possible for you, when you actually have a meeting, get everyone on their camera so they could actually be engaging with you. And it's as important for you to engage with the people, keep their attention, as if you're doing it face to face. So specifically, depending on your channel, you could potentially, like I've done is I've actually dragged some of my images around. So on the one side, I would have my photo, but on the other side, I would actually have my slides. So in this channel, it's not as easy as it is with Zoom. So I'm actually just going to continue throughout, but you can see over here, I've got the slides on the one side and the presenter's photo on the other side. What you also need to be aware of is security. So make sure that that you actually have, that you're able to lock the room, that you have passwords. There has been some channels, for instance, like Zoom, where people have been able to actually get in and even share pornography. So really be careful that that only the people that have registered have access to your room. And if it's possible, have a password and then lock it. So never share your access details to your room on a social media channel. People need to actually interact with you to be able to get it. Other things that you need to be aware of is be aware of the time. Have water available. So for instance, I've got my bottle of water here for in case. Be careful with coffee. The moment we actually have a lot of milk, it creates a lot of phlegm in our throats. And be sure that you're actually dressed professionally as well. Be prepared in terms of lighting. I've got different lighting here that allows you to see my face better. See if it's possible for you to have microphones. Could you close the door? Other ways in which you could be prepared is I've made a little mind map for you here. So you could have a mind map on your desk which actually shows the full layout of your presentation. So what is your opening, what's your close, what's the body, what's the title of your speech. You could also do it in a way where you actually put post-its on your screen, or you could make use of presenter's view where you see the next slide on the other screen that the audience doesn't see. So it's important for you to be fully prepared and to know where you're at and where you're going. And then lastly, How can you be seen as a premium brand like those black pills? As homework, I want to encourage you to go Google yourself and see what do you find. When you Google your name and surname, and when you Google your company's name, what comes up? What is the professional image that people are seeing out there? Notice how confident are you coming across online? Are you able to actually connect with your audience? Can you actually look into the webcam so they actually feel like that you're looking into their eyes? Can you keep their attention? Can you bring engaging messages so that people do actually want to listen to you? Can you ask yourself, do I know what I'm talking about? Is this a topic that I'm actually well aware of? Are you well prepared? And then ask yourself, how are your Facebook Live sessions? Can you tell stories, and do you have stickiness? Do people remember you? Those are the kind of things that I work with people specifically in the presentation space to help them to become the black pearl in business, to really stand out from the crowd. So in summary for today, what we spoke about, I want you to remain fit, to put on your little tuckies and just try different things out. If you're running into a wall, turn around, have a growth mindset, and keep on being fit. Identify who are your role models, who you would like to be like when you are presenting, when you're having those online meetings, and make a movie in your mind. And then ask yourself, how can I create such an experience that people would be willing to pay good money to do business with me? We are now going to quickly open for some questions, and after that I will close. So if anyone has questions, you're welcome to unmute yourself now.
I wasn't thinking of you changing it. I was thinking of maybe.
So if you have any question, just unmute yourself, and then any question, anyone?
So Albert Einstein said, you never fail until you stop trying. So what I really want to encourage you to do is try different things out and remain fit and have that growth mindset where you're willing to learn from your mistakes and where other people can actually be inspired by what you're doing. Thank you so much for coming through today. I'm still going to remain online. Anyone still wants to chat, but you are welcome to drop out if you have another meeting. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yoke, thank you very much. That was very informative. I, for one, have learned quite a bit. I'd like to also say thank you on behalf of Orbrix for joining us here today, and most importantly, for volunteering the way you did. I just want to confirm, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Armel?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Armel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
Hi, Armel, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Ms. Hawa.
All right, that's better. Thanks. Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry about that. There seems to be a delay. Yoke, if you can hear me, we just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your opportunity,
And,
Hawa.
No, it was an absolute pleasure, and we definitely will keep in touch. There's a lot of work I know that we can do here. I know that this month in Ramadan has been a difficult month for a lot of people here in the UAE, but still we have a few people that have joined. We definitely will be keeping in touch. And we'd just like to say thank you to all those that have joined us from both South Africa. I see we've got Mauritius, we've got Tanzania. We just want to say thank you very much to all of you. that have participated. And most importantly, thank you to all the volunteers, particularly for this session, Yoke, that have come forward. And we look forward to many of your sessions further. Please let us know when you're running, so I can also push it on my side to let people know when you are running on any other platforms as well. We'll be more than happy to be able to push it from the side. And thank you very much for being here. Are there any questions? Yoke is still available. Please feel free to ask any questions or comments that you might have.
I'll remain for another 10-15 minutes. So anyone that's still putting chat.
There's a question from Shakira. What is your advice on ending a meeting online most positively?
So specifically, what I was trying to do is you first do the Q&A and then you close. There were no questions actually brought up. That's why I jumped to close, because I noticed the time was running out. So end on a high. So what I did just before the Albert Einstein quote was I did a summary of the top 3 points. So that was where I was speaking about your running shoes, your your running shoes, the black pearls, and just the top 3 main points. So summarize your main points and then end off on a high, and then you could always just have your contact details at the end. So what I started noticing is some people obviously have meetings set up. So a lot of them were starting to drop off because they needed to leave to the next meeting. So even if you can finish 5 minutes earlier to give time to end nicely, that would actually be better. Does that answer your question?
Yes, she said, thank you so much, Yoke. And she also said, I find it awkward when meetings end abruptly, but also don't like it to drag too long. So that's, I think it's normal. I mean, even for with me, it happens also when doing on. I don't want to drag it too much, but it's like when there is no interaction and it just ends, so it feels kind of awkward. And I see there's a hand from Ruben again. So Ruben, please, you can mute yourself, unmute yourself, or you can ask the question here on the chat.
Ruben?
I guess there's some, I don't know, maybe by mistake, it's raising hand again. So Yoke, thank you so much for your informative session. It was really a pleasure to be here with you. And also from the audience, there are questions.
And we will still be sharing the handouts of them as well over email, right? Or how will they be getting
they can always send us email or send you email as the question if they have. Anybody else, any question, any comment?
Yoke?
Hi, Armel, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yoke, can you hear me?
It's done.
It's done.
Nice to hear you. Yes.
Nice to hear you too. Thank you for a lovely session. I want to ask you, what webinars would you recommend that I watch to find out how people are doing things and to get my name out there because I'm reinventing my business?
There's a very nice Facebook group at the moment called Remote Speaking that really provides amazing guidelines where people are actually sharing how to do things in terms of lighting, green screens, things like that. And it was actually started by by people part of the professional speakers, but internationally. So most of the people that are in the Professional Speakers Association of South Africa have had to pivot online, and everyone has just to learn as we go, you know. So I managed to find cameras. I managed to find lighting that we bought a year ago for photography and thought, well, seeing all of the remote speaking people doing their things, that's quite amazing. But there's also a guy that you could follow, called Bruce Wade. He's called the Batman of business, and I attended some of his Zoom room training, which has been amazing. And I've actually enrolled in some international courses as well, which are paid courses, because I feel that often when you're paying for something, people also put in much more effort, than if it's just a free thing. So actually looking at, is there something that you can invest to rather get someone that could actually coach you? Because the most of the training that I've attended has been paid training. It hasn't been free training. So the free training is a very wide audience. It doesn't necessarily give you exactly what you need. There's another guy that you would find a lot of value in, Dr. Bill Price. He speaks on neuroscience. So he had a whole training session at the professional speakers around adding neuroscience to tap into the brains of the audience. And I love that because I use a lot of NLP. So it was a lot of the same NLP language. So like I do the movie thing, because you know that from my boot camp that I did with you guys way back, he also speaks about that. So for him, it's all about actually, you lose your audience so quickly. How can you speak in a way so that it actually imprints in their minds? So that even though they have millions of filters that it's going through, that they actually get the message. But I'll think of it more, and I'll send you some links,
You're a star. Thanks, Yoke. I love the session.
I think, after this corona, mostly people, you can say like 80% of people, they have shifted their business or like interaction through online, which is quite new for them. So that's where like it's kind of sudden and big change, because usually people before, they used to chat, used to video call to their only friends and like this, but now when they are doing the same thing with their clients or like in business firms, so I don't know why they are not feeling confident. It's quite awkward for me, because like it's something you are doing on the daily basis for like a very long time. But right now, this is the main issue. Do you have something to say why it's some psychological effect or something? Because the same thing you are doing with your friends and family for maybe like maybe 10 years now, video chat, video calling, and everything. But the same thing when you are doing with the client, you are facing some problem. Why is that?
I'm just trying to understand your question a bit more. Can you clarify just a little bit more, so I understand? You're saying it's the same thing that you're going through with your friends, that you're going through with your clients. What do you mean? What is
I mean to say, for example, most of the people find it hard to interact online with their clients or customers, you can say. But the same thing they have been doing with their friends and family for a very long time. So why is this difference? Why is the difference? Why it is like easier for them to communicate with their family and friends and not with their customer or client?
So what I know from my presentation bootcamp is, even when we were doing it face to face, people would be forced to do a presentation in front of an audience, and we would make a little video, even if it's on their cell phone. And what always happens is people don't like the way they sound, and people don't like the way they look. So we have a very distorted view in our mind of how we actually look, because the way we see ourselves is not how other people see us. So when I've done those camps, people look at their own videos, they listen to their own voice, and they cringe. But there's a mentor that I've followed for years, Darren LaCroix. He's a world champion of public speaking, and he said, if you are not willing and able to look at yourself on video, on camera, or listen to your own voice recording, why should other people? So it's almost like something you need to get over, because when you're face to face with a person, you don't see yourself. They're seeing you, but you don't see yourself. But like right now, I can look at my own image here on
I
screen.
understand.
And it's not a comfortable thing, but I can learn and
so when
grow.
you're saying I hate how I sound. I actually, it's opening up a new direction of the discussion, basically, because it's like what you call self-consciousness. Like some people are really self-conscious about how they look, how they sound, how they smell. I mean, too much things. So that
Yeah.
can be a part there also. As Shami said, she hates herself how she sounds, but that's right.
But then you get a voice coach. Then you work on your voice. So that's all about having a growth mindset, saying, oh my goodness, like the lighting looks bad, let me adjust it. Oh my goodness, that outfit makes me look fat, let me wear something else. Oh my, you know what I mean? So see what other people are seeing and change it. So if you're
Yeah,
not happy with it, do something
that's
about
the
it. You don't
point.
just stay there, you know?
I understand. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a very good one, good discussion that we had today with the Yoke. And thank you for all of the attendees who came here attend this session. And thank you so much. There are more to come in our way and future of our future events. You will be receiving email, WhatsApp messages, the link to join our future workshops. And also don't forget to join our panel discussion on this Saturday. Thank you, Yoke, for your precious time and information that you shared with us. It was quite helpful. And, like these are very small things that actually matters, but people don't actually, they try to somehow look over those small points in their life. Like, okay, they say, okay, I don't want to go online with the client. That's fine. Whenever it will be over, I will be speaking with them again. And like, they just avoid it instead of facing them, or instead of realizing those points and then try to make some changes in their self or the way they communicate. So
Definitely. Thank you
yes,
so much
thank
for
you so
everyone
much.
attending. I really had a great time, and thank you for Orbrix Digital for this opportunity. I know that we will do a lot of collaboration in the future.
You're welcome. From our side, same. We was pleased to have you on our platform. Thank you, Dee.